Today is day 160 of Blender. It is also Sunday, July 17th, 2022. And again, I'm going to do another text animation because I've been trying to practice. So I'm going to go up, scroll down to geometry nodes, hide the spreadsheet, click on new, and then I'll disconnect the input from the output. And then I'll do Shift A and change this to string to curves and put this in here. And in order to change what it says, I'll just kind of make this bigger, connect the string to the input and change it to something like happy, because I'm going to do a text transition from happy to birthday. And then I'm going to connect the output to the actual output node. And then I'll go here to object properties and change the rotation X to be 90, so it rotates 90 degrees across the X-axis, which in this case is the red one. Now to add some fill, or to fill the curves, I'll do a fill curve node, Shift A, change the fill type to n-gon, so it kind of, makes it nicer. And I'll go back to solid view mode, and then to give it some thickness, I'll do Shift A, extrude mesh, and I'll just connect this value to here, so I could change it in modifier properties to 0.1. Alright, and then, but if I go in the back, it's not filled in the back, and so I'll have to do Shift A, join geometry, so it joins both the geometry once it's filled and once it's extruded, so I'll connect this one to here as well. Oops. Alright, and then, real quick, I'll go back to here, click on the folder for the font, Arial Black, and then character spacing, maybe 1.15. Alright, and then what I'll do is, I'll do Shift A, and I'll do a realize instance node, so that if I make copies, which I will make a copy of this happy object, I'm able to make changes to that copy without it affecting the original, because now the original realizes that it has instances of itself, or in other words, it realizes that it has copies of itself, and that way it will allow me to make changes to that copy. Alright, so I'll call this happy in the outliner. Okay, and then I'll just click on it, right, and do Shift D to make a copy, G to grab, and then Y to grab along the Y-axis, which in this case is the green axis. I'll kind of let it go right about there. Bring this down a little bit and just change it to birthday. Okay, and then what I'll do is in the outliner I'll also change it to birthday, and then I'll hide it both in the viewport and the render so it doesn't show up in my render. And then in the layout I'll do Shift A and add a random object, it doesn't even matter. In the outliner I'll call it animation, and then I'll create a new geometry node, and I'll disconnect the input from the output. And I'll grab the happy and drag it into here from my outliner, and now this gives me basically an object information node of my happy object, like the location, the rotation, scale, and geometry. So if I put the geometry, if I put the geometry into the output, I'll be able to see it there. Just have to do this real quick. Okay. So yeah, this is basically a copy or an instance of the original happy over here in the outliner. Now, here's where it gets a little weird. Before getting there, let me just do the same thing for birthday. Alright, now I'm going to use a node that basically transfers my geometry, or converts my geometry into points, or distributes my geometry into points. And so this is not a node, it's actually a preset, and it's actually one from the tutorial by Bradley Animations that I've been following for the past 4 days. And I always link it in my logs here. And the first link in his video is the download link for the preset, and once you download that, you go to edit, preferences, add-ons, and then install, and wherever you had it installed. For me, I put it on my desktop, it looks like this. I install add-on, and then I just search for it here and make sure it's on, and I also make sure that node presets are on as well. Both of them are on. And once that happens, I can do Shift A and get a points distribute node, G points distribute, and put that in there. And now I notice that there's some points here, but I don't see my mesh. Why is that? Because the amount is literally 15 points. So I just connect this to the input, and I go back to modifier properties and change it to something like 3000, and then I'll be able to see my mesh distributed in 3000 points. Alright, so I'll just click on this, and I'll do Shift D to make a copy and bring it down here, connect the geometry to the mesh, and then make sure that the amount is the same as the amount over here. But I won't be able to see that just yet. So this is where it gets like complicated, because this is where like his part comes in, Bradley Animations. So I kind of organized it into like 5 parts. So I have the part on the left, which is the basics, and then I have the part over here, which is the end, and then there's 3 parts in between, so the top, bottom, and middle. Alright, so it's a lot, but let me start with this. So first of all, I'll do Shift A and get a points to volume node, and then I'll do Shift A and do volume to mesh node, put that in there. Alright, and then what I'll do is I'll change this to 0.0, I don't know, 8 for now. And then I'll Control S before it freezes and just save my file. What's today's date? 17/22. Desktop, Blender, blends. Okay, save Blender file. Alright, and then I'll also add a remesh and change this to be 0.05. Voxel. Select the geometry node and kind of play around until it looks good. I'll select smooth shading. Maybe something like 200. Radius 0.02. Let's do, whoops. How do I go back? Click geometry nodes. 50. Ooh, never mind. 0.01. 0.04. Okay, that's a little 200. Kind of play around until the numbers look right. Voxel size 0.02, and then to make it smoother, I just increase the amount of points. So maybe 30,000. I kind of play around with the values until it just looks right, honestly. I don't know. Okay, and then also, because what I need is to be defined so that I can see the holes like through the A and the P, right? They have holes and I need that to be defined. Ooh. There we go. 0.02 works, so this looks good. Alright, and then maybe, what if I do 35, nope, not 25, 35,000 would make it a little more smoother. Alright, so that's that. Alright, so this is, right, so far we have 2 parts. Now, let me just move it all the way over here. There's also a set position node that would go in here. And then there's stuff in the middle. Okay, so let me start from the bottom. So the bottom starts with a transfer attribute, and this is well, first of all, let me make this into a vector because I'm transferring a vector index. So points goes into source, which was previously named target, and then position goes into attribute over here. And then I'll do Shift A, and then let me see. It should go into a GXYZ mix vector, but this one goes over here. Vector B so far. This one goes in the middle. So this is the middle part, by the way. And then there's a little bit of stuff that goes into this, which I'll reference the one I did yesterday. So this is the bottom part. So there's a G directional fall off, which is also an attribute, blah, 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 map range, combine XYZ, and then add. I believe all of them end with add, like add is over here before they're connected to the main one over here. Okay, so I'll do that then. So I'll get a G directional fall off, a map range, and combine XYZ. So Shift A, directional fall off, which is another preset, map range, Shift A, combine XYZ. All right. So this is actually, the attribute goes into the custom vector, and then the map range, I know that it's different. I think it's 0, whoops, wrong thing. Let me actually look for it. So it's 0001, 0110. It's float linear and goes into the value. So the fall off is connected to the value, and it's 0, 1, 1, and then the max is 0, and then over here this stays the same. That's good, and the result I believe goes into the Z. Okay, and then it goes into the add, and then the attribute goes into vector A, and the other one goes into vector B. So Shift A, vector math, change it to add, it's already add this. So this one goes into vector B, and this transfer attribute actually, instead of going here directly, it goes into here, and then this one would go into vector B. So that's the bottom part. Okay, And then the top part of Shift A, there's another G directional fall off. There's also a combine XYZ, and there is also a vector math, which is connected to vector A over here. And then I believe that, oops, nope, that's not what I meant. Control Z, okay. Let me just go back and check the values for this one. So it's 0, 0, 0, blah, 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 that's fine. Z, and then vector B as always, and the position is vector A. Okay, so position would go into vector A, and then the fall off goes into Z, and then this would go vector B. But here's the thing, the directional fall off needs to be controlled by a certain object, because this is what basically controls the what do you call it, the fluid, yeah. So kind of show you, if I change this value, I won't be able to see it just yet, but I'll have to create an object. So in layout, I'll do Shift A, and I'll go to empty, and I'll do a sphere, and then object data properties and properties panel, and change it to arrows, and then just do G to grab X, and then move it a little bit to the left. And then I'll just kind of get this dropper here and just hover over the empty, and now this is the object that is going to be controlling the directional fall off. And then let me do the same thing for this one, and then that should be that. Okay, and then this one should go to the position over here. So now, let me do Control S real quick. Now if I change the, what do you call this thing? The G, X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah vector. I can see that it's literally turning into like a fluid. That's what it is. So it transitions from happy into birthday. But yeah, so now I need something to control that. And this is where the middle part comes in. So all of this was the top part. So let me move it to the top. And then let me move this stuff towards to the bottom, and then this towards, not really, hello. Okay, to the middle. So I know that over here there's a Shift A, there is another directional fall off. At this point I should just duplicate it, so I should just click on this Shift D over here. And this controls the offset over here. So that's that. And then there's also Shift A, there is a vector math node and its scale, which I believe is the first one, and then this controls the offset of the set position right there. And there's also a float curve, and this actually goes kind of over here, this one's over here, and then I have to see, remember where this one goes actually. So the float curve is connected, it's a fall off is the value of the float curve from this one. Be here. Okay. Let me hide this, and then this one, where is it? So the float curve for this doesn't go to the, goes directly into the scale as the literal scale, while the G noise 3D goes into the vector. Shift, oh wait, no. So this one goes directly into the scale, right? And then there's also Shift A, a 3D noise. And then this one, color goes into the vector. And I believe the frequency, I have to change it to 0 actually, so that I can see what's actually going on. I'll move the empty G, X towards the middle, and then I'll be able to kind of see what happens here. So the frequency can be 0.2. and the scale can be 16, and that kind of, you know, that's what controls the fluid there. Alright, so that's one thing. And I believe, let me see, the custom, this is just random, and this is there, and then this, just a lot of stuff going on. Alright, so the scale is here, This is here. And then I believe this goes into here as well. There we go. There's something that's off. I'm gonna move this over here. The letters. X. Alright, actually nothing is off, that's good. Alright, alright, and that's pretty much it, literally. Yeah, so that's the bottom part. So at the top there should be 3, at the bottom there should be 5 nodes, in the middle there should be 5 also, and then over here there should be 4 at the end, right? And then over here there should be 5. And then there could be possibly one more over here, a multiply. In total there's 23 nodes, 22 in this case, but usually there's 23 because there's a multiply here to multiply the amount of points for the second text object, but I don't do that because I feel like it's not necessary for me. But yeah, so now onto the fun part. So I'm gonna do Control S, and I'll go to layout, and then I'll just do Shift A, mesh, add a plane, rotate 90 degrees on the X, S to scale, not that much, SX to scale on the X-axis, GX to move on the X-axis, and then GY to move a little bit backwards. And then front view by pressing the button under the escape key and hovering over front. And then what I'll do is I'll pull up the timeline and I'll press N to pull up this menu. And what I want for my video, right, I want since the empty, right, is what controls the animation, I want the empty to start right before it starts affecting the letter H. And so that's gonna probably be right about here, right? So I'll do 80 frames. And so at keyframe 1, I want it to have that position that it has right now. So that's why I'm pressing N, and that's gonna bring up my N panel, the transform, and I'm just gonna hover over that specific location that it's in right now, which is like negative 1.2722 meters, and press I, and that's gonna insert that location keyframe on my timeline, right? And that's kind of symbolized as a diamond. And then if I go to keyframe 80, I want it to, like at the end, I want it to basically be right at the end after it stops affecting the letter Y. So that's going to be kind of right about there. And then I'll just hover over that specific location, which is 3.9966 meters, and press I and hover over that. So if I now go back to 1 and I click on play, it's going to go from that position, the starting position, to the end position, and the animation is going to play. And it's going to probably be really slow in the viewport, but it's actually going to be fast in the render. But it's going to be something like that, right? So I'm just going to press escape, right, to escape that. And now onto the other fun part. I feel like I keep saying onto the fun part, but they're all fun parts. Okay, I'm going to go to material preview so that we can work with the colors. I think I picked, I don't know if I like these colors. It's giving Thanksgiving, but whatever. Maybe this one, right? And then I'll put that one as the background. So I'll just go here to properties panel, the material properties, click on new, and then I'll go to base color, right, and then hex, because I copied a hex code and put that in there. And then for the geometry, the text animation itself, I actually have to go back to geometry nodes real quick. Modifier properties, add a modifier, geometry nodes, and then I have to click on a new one, and I have to find it, and then I have to do Shift A, set material, and put that in there. And then I can choose what color I want. So I don't know, do I want to do this one or this one? Maybe this one. I actually have to make one. So click on new, base color, paste that in there, choose it, and then go back to layout and I'll be able to see it. Okay, I guess that looks good. All right, and then I'll do Control S and then onto the rendering part. So I'm gonna go, okay, I have to select the light before doing that. Turn it into a sun, turn the strength to something like 3, G, and then Y to move along the Y-axis, and then R to rotate so that it's hitting this plane over here. Disconnect the shadow, maybe G, Z to move it down, R to rotate a little bit more. I just hate that it's so reflective. I want it to just be bright, but like not that bright. does, that's fine. Is there any way that I, let me see, specs up. Oh, beautiful. So I turned off the specular so that really the letters are what's, oops, escape. What's really popping out here. Okay, if I do 4, no, I'll leave it to 3. Alright, okay, that's good. And then I'll hover over the button under the escape key, press on front, and do Control Alt Numpad 0. If that doesn't work, edit preferences, input, turn on, emulate numpad if you don't have a numpad, and if that still doesn't work, it's probably because we don't have a camera. So if you don't have a camera, you might as well just do Shift A and add a camera. Okay, to go back into the view, you press on 0. To get out of it, you press on the middle mouse button. So I'm just going to go a little bit more to the left and then kind of see how that's going to look like. I want everything to kind of go in, so that's not going to be good. So I'm going to have to scale this a little bit more up, GX to move it a little bit more to the center. And then, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, real quick, I'll go back to here in geometry nodes, the original one, and just change it to general, not general, where's the center? There, that's what I meant, yep, Okay, and then go back to layout, and then just do GX, put that right in there, and then probably move it again from view, Control Alt Numpad 0, a little bit to the right, a little bit more to the right, a little bit more to the left. I'm totally not picky. Alright, I think that's good. But then it's gonna once it's home. Oh no, it's not home. Why did I say home? I meant happy. I'm thinking about yesterday. I think yesterday I did welcome home. Alright, let me see. Why is it like that? Did I change the position? Oh, I did. I have to do it again because I moved everything. Okay, so let me go back here and just delete the keyframes. Keyframes. So keyframe 1, I wanted to start GX over here, or maybe right over here. Insert that, and then in keyframe 80, GX, put it at the end. You know what? I kind of want to add an exclamation point. I'm going to do that. So let me go back here. And where's the stuff? Hello? Where is it? Birthday. There we go. And then just change this to be DX right around there. And then insert that keyframe. Go to 1, and then it should play nicely. Whatever. Anyway, oh my god, okay. That's done, so I'm gonna do Control S, and then onto the actual literal rendering part. So I'll go to Output Properties, scroll down, select the folder where I want all my images to go to. 7, 17, 22, what did I do? Oh, happy birthday. Okay, accept, and then file format PNG, and that's literally it. So I'm gonna do render animation, and all those 80 frames or 80 PNG images are going to be outputted into that folder that I selected. If I can find it. Alright, let me see. Blender. Animations. Welcome. Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, okay, so clearly that's there. And then I'll just wait until it's done. Bye. Alright, so now all of the images and all the frames are rendered on this folder or in this folder. So I'll just X out of that, X out of the render. And then in Blender, I'll go up and scroll down to the plus sign, video editing. I'll move this all the way to the beginning. And then I'll just go to here, add image sequence, and I'll just go to where those images are. I'll select the first one, and then scroll down, shift select last one, add image strip, and then I go here to the top right, in output properties, don't want this. Alright, and then just select the folder where I want my video to be outputted, and I usually do in the same folder where my images are, inside another folder. Format FFmpeg video, and then under encoding I go container mpeg4, and then high quality for the output quality. I do Control S, and then I just go up, scroll up, render animation, and then it should render my video. And I'll be able to see that in my folder where I assigned it to be outputted in a few seconds if I could find it. Alright, desktop, Blender, animations, where is it? Happy birthday, video, just give me 1 second, it's almost done. Let's give it a few more seconds. That's the wrong one. And that's it. And now I'm going to play it 5,000 times until I'm satisfied because it's so good. Isn't it so pretty? I should have made the birthday smoother though. But it looks really nice, I guess. Beautiful. Alright, that's it for today. Bye.